Hi everyone. Welcome to Take 10, the first Take 10 actually. Got an idea last weekend on this, and it seemed to be a good idea, and has been well received. Welcome to Suzanne Luscombe of resicentral. Welcome, Suzanne. Um, the idea behind it, as we've been explaining, is really just to get to know the person behind the name and behind the company, to oil those wheels of communication, and hopefully it will do the trick. It's going to be a light-hearted, informal, just to warn you, and and I'm sure that Suzanne will encourage that one anyway. So yeah, over to you, Suzanne. A little bit about yourself, the company, and your background, and yeah, we'll take it from there.
Well, thank you. I feel extremely privileged to be in the green room with somebody I massively admire. You know, I'm probably your number one fan, Richard. As you'll know from every Sabbath that I go to, I try and corner you, and we go away and do our own little podcast, which is fabulous then to be here in the room. So, for those who don't know me, I'm Suzanne Luscombe. I am Strategic Growth Director at resicentral. In terms of actually me as an individual, I'll be honest, I'm 40. That was last year's hurdle. This year's 41. Mum to two little people, Harry and Lottie, age 3 and 7, going on 16. And I'm just massively enthusiastic about the residential market, really, the way it shapes the different options out there. And I feel incredibly privileged to have come into the kind of service department and flexible kind of living urban space some kind of nearly 3 years ago. But my actual backdrop is real estate. Before the last 3 years, 20 years preceding that, I was actually working for private developers and housing associations, very much on the outright sales side. Worked for some very big brands in that as part of the senior management teams, the likes of Berkeley Homes and Telford Homes. I was sales and marketing director at Notting Hill Genesis. So for me, everything included within real estate, I have a passion for. And then my world seemed to collide with this wonderful world of serviced accommodation 3 years ago. And I just found it a really friendly, warm space with some truly inspiring people trying to offer the best hospitality out there that they can, and everybody continuously striving to make things bigger and better in a marketplace which is actually really, really difficult. So thank you, Richard, for having me here today, and I feel very privileged to be sitting here in the green room.
Thanks, Suzanne. Genuinely, thank you, and the feeling is mutual. And thank you for all your support today and in the past. So really appreciate. So no, that's all very interesting, and the what we'd like to do really is from here is to then have a bit of a laugh and go behind the LinkedIn profile almost, and with the
Oh
and
no,
yeah,
what's it really
in the spotlight, and just the option, the either or game that some of you are familiar with. So we'll kick off with this and see where we go. We'll come back to resicentral though, and what resicentral does, how Suzanne can work with you, how you can benefit from resicentral services a little later on. So here we go, Suzanne. Right, let's ask some questions. What you prefer? Start with the easy ones. Books or magazines? What do you tend to do when you're on the train? Do you have a book with you or a magazine?
Well, if I'm being honest, neither. But so I can escape having to talk to nutters on the train, it'll be an audiobook. So that's where I'm going with that. Just so I can be like, sorry, I can't hear
Problem with that is I'm probably that nutter on the train. So
you. Richard, so am I know my own species, and I'm like, oh my God, people must find me annoying. So maybe now by putting the headphones in, I'm not only saving myself, I'm saving others.
Yeah, I mean the wear dark glasses and it's the eye contact thing, isn't it? As soon as someone makes the eye contact, then you're off. Yeah. Um, and I suppose that the that kind of choice, I never thought about it, but people, I should have put on there like book or mobile phone because, or laptop or something, because the book of the magazine is, yeah. I'm not a good reader. I don't know. I just never have read a lot of books, so I tend to just. But yeah, interesting that one. Uh, Fruits or vegetables? What to go for? Your five a day.
Vegetables, I hate fruit. I am that weirdo who doesn't particularly have a sweet tooth, and everyone's always like, "Oh, should we have a lovely fruit salad? Oh, do you know what? Should we have strawberries and cream in the summer?" Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Wow,
No, no fruit
really?
this direction. No, thanks. It doesn't really help with the kids though. I must say, when you're going, come on, kids,
That's
who would
right.
like
Yeah,
some yummy fruit? And they look at you like, "Mummy, what are you going to have?" And
yeah,
you can't really
yeah.
say is a glass of wine grapes. So yeah, no, sticking with the vegetables on that front, please, Richard.
Well, that's my it would be my line. That's for sure. I like the idea of that. We'll come back onto that one. But yeah, kale smoothies. Oh, grief,
No,
no. I mean, I can't stand those. Put those smoothies that you try to make out of vegetables, they always end up green and always end up like just tasting horrible. If anyone out there has got any ideas for recipes for tasty smoothies,
there's
I'd like
no
to hear it.
such thing, right? They shouldn't have vegetables in a smoothie. And actually, I don't like a smoothie anyway, right?
Do you
Just
know?
have something new. No, no, no. You know what it is? It's just loads of sugar in a container, and I don't want any of it. If I'm going to drink something nice, it's got
Yeah,
to be nice, and it's not kale for breakfast.
no, 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 definitely not. I was going to suggest a shot of vodka in there, but let's get onto this one. In that, wine or beer?
Oh, well, currently I'm doing a no drinking quarter. So
Ah,
this moment in time, which I remember many months ago throwing it out there to you, saying, "What about a sober Sabra?"
yes,
And you going, "But what?" And me going, "Well, you know, sober curious." No, I've extended the kind of normal dry January this to a quarter, only for the fact that I've got some really like exciting projects with Resi at the minute. I'm super focused, and also it sounds really weird. You shouldn't have a reason to drink anyway, but when it's like horrible outside, I can't really go, "Oh, I really fancy a wine," because you know what, that pouring torrential storm out there has made me think I should have a glass of Prosecco. But normally, actually, bizarrely, I actually really like a beer. And I'm
yeah.
gutted that Hop House no longer exists. That was my favourite.
Ah, oh wow, okay. Yeah, but I'm not sure which I would do, and I suppose that I would tend to say everything. But
That's true.
yeah, you.
True style there, Richard. Anything.
I mean, but you're right with that thing about the excuse because you do. I've seen it. I've read that you will always be able to find an excuse to have a drink, and like you say, whether it's the weather, you got a cough, all the
An
rest of it. There'll always
occasion
be an
or
excuse.
no occasion or boredom.
Yeah,
Whereas you know at the minute, and you know me very well, right? I think I'm lively enough without a drink. And also,
yeah,
let's be honest, I'm 40. The whole, a moment on the lips, a lifetime on the hips, to me, that used to be like a cake or fish and chips. No, one glass of wine, and I swear to God, I wake up the next morning about 2 stone heavier. And that's not just because
yeah.
on the way home I wanted some bad food. So the calories involved with drink, I'm just like, absolutely not.
They are. Yeah, no, that's right. Okay, in which case that's so you mentioned that's kind of the fitness side of things. Couch potato or fitness fiend?
Right. I would love to say I'm a fitness freak, but I'm not. I do every year in the summer for the ectopic pregnancy trust to do a charity run in the summer, doing 80 miles across the month, which is really good for motivation. But I'll be honest, I've never been a gym bunny at all. Exercise has never really been my thing. However, am I allowed to say I'd love to be a couch potato? However, I've got 2 children. So there is no way, so I spend my whole life running around after them. So I have to sit on the fence with that because I would love to
Mm,
sit on my bum, but I can't.
no. Yeah, good one. Okay. No, I'm looking at the time here, so need to be respectful of that. Um, you mentioned there a charity. I don't know whether you'd like to mention that at all again, but also please tell us about Resicentral and how the viewers can engage with you and the benefits that you can offer to them.
Right, so on the ectopic pregnancy front, it's a fantastic kind of under the radar charity which helps support families with pregnancy loss and ectopic pregnancies, of which myself and my husband unfortunately went through two of them and resulted in losing both my fallopian tubes back in 2019. So it's a very much a cause close to our heart that we actively fundraise and support the charity on. So if anybody does have a minute and interested in that, whether it's personal support or family or fundraising, it's a fabulous one. So in terms of Resi Central, I'm in a really privileged situation to work for a company which is all about sustainability, affordability, but property management to make that hospitality sector better. And it's very much about, and really prudent at the moment, about cost savings. So we are helping service department providers and others across the hospitality industry really have an exact live view on consumption within their properties. So from a guest checking in to checking out. Also on top of that, using some really, really cool devices which are tracking humidity, temperature, sound. And then topped with a load of occupancy detection, which is really cool because we know when people are in and out of a property. And so what we do is we create smart rules and automations. So we know that if your guest has checked in at 10 a.m., they've tried to turn the heating up to 30, for sake of argument. And people do that, Richard. I say that and people go, no. The people paying the bills absolutely don't admit to doing that, Richard. None of the lovely people you help will ever give Richard a free night stay. And I think the problem that we've got right now is, Richard, that when you pay a per night rate, there is an inherited kind of view that you can go in and use whatever you want for that period of time. Whereas at Resi Central, we actually want to help all these providers to have really great guest experience, but also not be out of pocket. So for us, it's about setting parameters. So we can say to you, look, you can set your heating at 21. They can never go over it. But actually with occupancy detection, if your guest then goes out for the day, which most of them do, through smart occupancy detection, we can take that heating down from, say, 21, could be down to 15, it could be down to a frost setting, but it's all parameters you can do. On top of that, we know that lights get left on, and also often a bill comes in maybe 6 months after someone leaves, and suddenly all of our wonderful service department providers are sitting there with a massive bill and kind of scratching their heads going, number one, how do we budget for the months ahead? And secondly, how do we know if perhaps we should be bringing in fair use policies or if we should be actually interacting with guests to kind of pull things backwards? So for us, it's about that kind of sustainable, affordable approach, but where we can make a difference. So if anybody is interested, we'd love to have a chat. We've had some great conversations in the last few weeks where people have literally had those latest bills come in and the shock which has come behind them.
Fascinating. That sounds really good. I mean, I had a conversation with Thames Water yesterday, and going into their admin area and what have you, and they were telling me whether we've got a dripping tap or not, and things like that, and to be able to micromanage in that respect. So that tell you when I've been doing the kettle this morning, and running some water just to kind of clear the sink and things. I've been really careful and thinking I'm imagining the money that's costing,
Well,
just the
you know
water.
what, Richard, I always say that once you learn something, you can't unlearn. But often we don't really understand the value of something, and especially as a guest. And for us, it's about changing those behaviours. And we do, for instance, we do leak detection, so we know an abnormal flow of water. But rather than it getting to the point that there is a problem, actually maybe an alert goes out to someone. And also, you say same with electricity. We know that some of our providers, obviously, I'm not going to name any of them for confidential reasons, but one of the providers I was talking to last week has got a property where their one bedroom units are costing them in electricity £500 a month. A service department with a £500 electric bill a month because they've got electric heating. People go in, they turn them on, and the ironic thing is when the guests get too hot, they open the balcony door. They don't turn down the heating. And also when they go out, when they come back, they want it on. And you know what's really interesting? Water conservation is massive. Every time you flush a toilet, that's 7 litres oh, drinking water. I'm not saying go to the toilet and drink out of it, obviously for hygiene reasons. But when you start realizing the impact of what we're doing and the environment, it's massive. So maybe you'll think of me now every time you, well, flush the toilet.
But honestly, the energy and what you've just talked about with consumption, and there are some companies out there that make their listings visible the amount of carbon that's being expended in, let's say, a one-bedroom apartment, and people are making purchasing decisions based on that, on how you can save the planet by booking into apartments which are more carbon friendly. I'm sure that's not the right term, but yeah,
No,
one
no,
of the
no, it
things
is.
with is it? I mean, one of
Yeah.
the things with the on the heat with the heating is that sometimes, like the washer dryer situation, sometimes if the clothes haven't been dried thoroughly, they'll probably tend to try and hang them all around the place and open the windows to let the humidity out. I don't know.
Well, they
Who knows?
don't. So, Richard, that's
Yeah.
the other problem. So, one of the tracking devices that we've got, or the monitoring sensors, is humidity. And what you actually find is that people are bulking the temperature up, going, my clothes aren't dry. I'll have the heating up as high as possible, but I don't want to open the windows and get cold. So, humidity, then over a set period of time, literally a number of days, if you've got humidity at kind of 55% or over and temperature at 25 and above, day 5 is mold growth. So whether you
Yeah.
see it
Oh,
or
right.
not, when you look at
Interesting.
then health risks, so there's a whole, and what we love about
Mm.
what we do is having all of these kind of set parameters, which then create either instant impact that we stop something from happening, i.e. we turn the heating off or down or lights off, but also we inform whoever the provider is to say, hold on, there's a health risk. So your guests actually may be putting their health in danger, but also you don't want mold growing in your properties, do you?
No, exactly. Oh, fascinating. We could talk an awful lot more about that. It needs to be respectful of your time. So,
Thank
and
you.
but thank you very much. It is fascinating. Anybody wants any more information on that, of course, get in touch with Suzanne, and we'll make that contact. So, thanks massively, Suzanne, for coming along to this Take 10. Thank you to the people watching this recording, and we'll see you again on the next Take 10. Thank you.
Goodbye, Richard.